Welcome to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce. Each month, we'll feature business and community leaders sharing their stories, initiatives, concerns, and passions. Learn practical information regarding community resources and opportunities. Now, the host of Business Voice, Greece Regional Chamber President and CEO, Sarah Lentini.
Hi, everyone. You're listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, sponsored by Bartolomeo and Parado Funeral Homes. I'm Sarah Lentini. I'm the president and CEO of the Greece Regional Chamber, and I'm also the host of the show. It's a great show that we've got lined up for you today, starting with my first guest, New York State Senator Jeremy Cooney. Welcome, Senator Cooney.
Hi, Sarah. Glad to be with you.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show again. I think you were on a while back, and some time has passed, and I know that you've been hard at work in Albany, and in fact, session just ended, did it not?
It did. It seems like a long time ago, but it was only in June when we wrapped up the legislative session. And just a reminder for your listeners, the legislative session is only about 6 months each year. So it starts in January, right after the start of the year, and then it usually wraps up usually that first or second week of June, and then we come back the following year.
Okay, so you're probably tired of, I don't know whether you drive to Albany and it's somewhat immaterial, but obviously you've got to be in Albany for those 6 months, and I imagine that you all don't agree about everything, right?
Well, that's true. I mean, there's a lot to talk about and a lot to cram in those 6 months of the year. Everything from healthcare conversations to education policy to probably the biggest question every year is how we're going to manage the state's budget. And so that kind of dominates the conversation, if you will, the first portion of the legislative session, so January through its deadline, which is April 1st every year. That's by, under state law, it has to be passed by April 1st. And then the latter half is usually kind of more of the policy side. So lots of spirited conversations for sure.
That's great. And before we get into, I would love to hear about, I'm sure our listeners would love to hear about some of the highlights of the last session, which, as you said, ended in June. But before we do that, why don't we tell our listeners, what district you represent, not just the number or numbers, but the actual geography involved.
Yeah, I'm so glad you prompted me to do that because the lines actually just changed this January. So every 10 years after the census takes place in New York State, they kind of rejigger the lines so that the population, as the population moves, representation follows, right? So as we gain or lose population, the members of the Senate and the Assembly will kind of change around. Usually it's not anything dramatic, but this year for me, I'm still representing number 56, the 56th Senate District, but now that includes the town of Greece, so the entire town of Greece, and then on the west side, the town of Gates. On the east side of Monroe County, I'm just within Monroe County. On the east side of the county, I have the town of Brighton and the town of Henrietta, and then I have the city of Rochester, mostly the west side of the river, but it's a good portion of both sides.
That's a lot of population.
Yeah, it's about 370,000 New Yorkers.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. And you put yourself in a somewhat more central location at this point in terms of your district, correct?
We have. So our district, when former Senator Joe Robach represented it, actually went all the way up along the lake. So it went from Gates and Greece and Parma and Clarkson and Hamlin. So that kind of Parma and West, I should say, got moved to Senator Ort, who borders me, and then we got a little denser because the population got a little more dense. So Greece and Gates grew over the last 10 years, not surprising because of housing costs, and maybe we'll get into that. But, that's where the population of families have settled in my district. So Greece and Gates, and then obviously the city and Brighton and Henrietta. Henrietta continues to be pretty fast-growing as well, especially with RIT being there. So exciting for our region.
Yeah, very exciting. And before we move on to the excitement in Albany, I also want to take a moment and just say thank you on behalf of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce and our business and government and education partners, because you served as the presenting sponsor this year for our Youth Hall of Fame initiative, through which we inducted 15 area high schoolers, specifically juniors and seniors, who represent the best in human qualities, but specifically human qualities in young people. And it's such a great event, and so lovely to have your support, such pivotal support that you gave us. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Sarah. And I just have to say to all your listeners, if you haven't heard of the Hall of Fame or haven't seen this year's class, make sure you go visit the Greece Chamber's website and check these young people out. They are absolutely outstanding. I mean, you're right. They are the best of the best from all different schools within Greece, and I was just blown away by their commitment, not only to themselves and all their personal achievements, but to their families and the circumstances from which they are being raised in. Some really challenging circumstances, especially with mental health, and we know a lot of our seniors this year are firsthand getting through the pandemic and having to navigate that process. So just the opportunity to just take a pause and to recognize our future, especially as a local hometown guy myself. The future is bright, my friends, in the town of Greece. And thank you for your leadership, Sarah, in putting that together.
Oh gosh, it's a team effort. We have wonderful partners in the Greece Central School District, and and all of our wonderful government partners. And again, you chief among them, because you really provided some pivotal support for the initiative and for the chamber, and we're so grateful. Well, let's talk a little bit about Albany in the last session, if we could. You threw out a couple of big words, big categories, including education and housing, and I'm sure healthcare is there. And I know energy is also a topic that's very much in people's minds these days. You start us off with what were some of the key discussions, and what was the outcome, and what are you looking to work on further?
I think that's a great intro. I mean, some good, some bad, and some let's get back to it next year conversations, right? Let's start with the positive. For the first time in the state's history, we fully funded what we call foundation aid, which is the formula which funds our public school districts. So, like Greece Central Schools, gets a lot of funding from the state of New York. So does obviously the Rochester City School District, and for years, absolutely, it's just shameful. For years, we have been underfunding public education, and we made good on the promise that was made last year by the legislature and by the governor to deliver on that, and that was indeed included in the budget. So that's some good news.
That's great.
Where I think we didn't hit the mark on was issues that I'm very, very aware of that Rochester specifically is challenged with, which is housing. So whether you own your own home, and maybe you're aging in your home and you're on a fixed income, we know that costs are rising, right? We have an older housing stock here in the greater Rochester area. Here's a fun fact for your listeners. In the city of Rochester, has housing stock available for a city of 300,000 people. And obviously that's from our Kodak days and our Wash and Lawn days, right? And Xerox days. But the population of the city of Rochester hovers around 210, 211,000 people. So we have a lot of houses that are really in disrepair, and could be made better, right, for families to move into, whether you're currently in the city or whether you're in the town of Greece or a suburban town. So something to think about. But I don't think we did enough at the state level around housing, and there's kind of two sides to the coin. One is how are we helping homeowners, and then the other side is how are we helping renters, tenants. And there's a lot more we can do to make sure that tenants have protections and rights. Something that's on my mind is whether you're renting in the suburbs or whether you're renting in the city, you should have the same opportunities and benefits as if you were renting down in the New York City area. And that's not the case.
Interesting.
Yeah, one of the things I learned this year, this is now my second term, but I'm continuing to learn new things every year I serve in Albany. One of the things I learned is if you are facing eviction, for whatever circumstance, right? Maybe it's a nuisance, maybe it's not paying rent, but if you're going through the eviction process in the court system and you go to New York, you're a New York City resident, you can actually get rent arrears paid, which helps the property owner, right, the landlord, right, but it also helps stabilize the tenant. They're not having to move out, especially if they have young kids, which is so disruptive to their education process. So why don't we have that same benefit here in Monroe County in the greater Rochester area? So we're going to go deeper look at that for next year. I'm all about having my friends in New York City have good quality of life experiences, but we deserve that too here in upstate New York. So we're going to speak up about that.
Yeah. So let me just ask a question, if I can stop you though, because that's a great point. Why is it different? Is that a state law, a state regulation? Can state laws and regulations pertain just to New York City, and does that happen often?
That's a great question, Sarah. The answer is yes. It's under state law, and oftentimes we see a segmentation of state laws. And they do it, they don't say, for the benefit of New York City. What they'll say in the law is for cities of 1 million persons or more.
Okay.
And that's really only one place in New York State, and that's the city of New York.
I see.
So, it's not, and oftentimes it's agreements that have been made over the years. But remember, Albany has changed a little bit. Both the Assembly and the Senate, yes, they are both controlled by the Democratic Party, the Democratic majority, which I'm very proud to be part of. But remember that the number of Democrats have changed over the years, right? There are more Democrats elected in upstate New York than in years, right? So there's more representation from upstate New York. And, the way we look at policies and issues as Democrats in upstate is probably a little bit different than our Democratic colleagues in New York. So it's important that our voices get heard.
And it's good that there's a bigger coalition of upstate, of upstate folks to be making your voices heard. That's great.
And that's a bipartisan thing, right? I mean, those of us, who are Republican or a Democrat, who live outside of New York City, we share a sense of values and experience and challenges that our friends in New York City don't have. And it's up to us to speak up and to, share. Because a lot of times people just don't know. They don't know how hard it is to get Wi-Fi or broadband access in some of the more rural parts of the state. They don't know how hard it is for rural EMS services to deliver to towns and villages. They don't understand that we're losing population because we don't have as many good-paying jobs as, our friends in Long Island or New York City or Westchester. So, there's some real tangible differences. Again, not good, not bad, just different. And, it's up for us as representatives to speak up.
So how about other areas like energy? I know that we were talking, you were kind enough, you and Assemblyman Jensen were kind enough to join us in a conversation with our members just yesterday, and that was one of the areas of inquiry.
I think energy is going to continue to be a key area of conversation and debate. A lot of times you read in the newspaper or you see online kind of conversations about, gas stoves, and that kind of gets the headline. And there's some conversations that should be happening around that. But when I talk to folks here in Greece or in the Rochester area, what they're most concerned about is the rising energy costs that they're seeing on their RG&E bills. And again, as someone who grew up here, I've seen RG&E change over the, certainly over the last 10 years, but even prior to that. And now with its current ownership structure, there's a lot of questions being asked about the level of customer service that we're getting, the fact that a lot of us who own homes don't have meters that are what they call smart meters inside our homes, which means that the estimates that RG&E is providing can be all out of whack, right? And at the same time, we know that we have one of the lowest costs of electrical service in the entire state, which is surprising because everyone says my bill's so high.
Yeah.
But the rate of which that we are charged for electricity is actually lower than it is, let's say, in the Hudson Valley or Westchester, because our provider has just different rates. But now, and this is what I think a lot of people are questioning, and we're getting a lot of calls at my state Senate office, is now the RG&E is looking to raise that rate. And, this is hard. People, we got air conditioners going right now, and we got heaters going on in the winter. People, don't have as much income as they had. We're an aging population. Again, seniors who are on a fixed income, they can't afford to heat their homes in the winter that have drafty windows or, inefficient furnaces. So that really impacts our bottom line as Rochesterians and as Greece members. And so, we want to make sure that we're looking at that with a lot of scrutiny. I will say for any listeners who are curious, you have an opportunity to voice your opinion about RG&E and their rate increase by contacting the New York State Public Service Commission, PSC, Public Service Commission. If you just Google that, you can find a way to contact them, even if it's just an email. They are taking public comments on what they call the rate case that RG&E has made. I don't have, any sort of approval power as a state senator. My colleague from Greece, Assemblymember Jensen, doesn't have that either. But we're both, obviously speaking up on behalf of the constituents that we hear from. But that's ultimately decided by the Public Service Commission. So I encourage your listeners who are interested in talking about that or have an opinion to express to contact the Public Service Commission.
Beautiful, thank you. And with the time that we have left, what is sort of the upshot of the budget or the ongoing work that you think it's important for our listeners to come away with?
Well, this is the largest budget in our state's history, $229 billion. Now, The good news is there wasn't a tax increase. So there was a lot more spending, but we had more resources to spend because some of the COVID funds that were left over from last year and some of the unexpected sales tax revenue from the state. So that's good news, but, it's not sustainable. And for those of us who are from, upstate New York, we're a little more conservative when it comes to how we manage our dollars. And so I want to make sure that taxpayers are sustainable. We got to plow roads and maintain them roads and bridges. We have to make sure we fund their schools. We have to make sure that there's health care that's accessible. We have to make sure that we're doing everything to keep our communities safe, and that means investing in our local police departments and our state troopers. We have to pay all of our bills, right? But at the same time, we need to make sure that we're being smart with our dollars. And we don't want to just increase the budget just to increase the budget. We have to make smart investments and realize it's not our money to spend. This is taxpayer dollars. So something that we're very cognizant of going forward to next year.
That's great. Thank you so much. I know those were just the highlights, and the state budget and the work that you guys do in the New York State Legislature covers a lot of ground. But we so appreciate you giving us the highlights and look forward to future conversations, both on this show as well as with the Greece Regional Chamber membership. Thank you very, very much again for joining us here today on Business Voice, New York State Senator Jeremy Cooney. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
All right, don't go away. We're going to be right back with my next guest. Don't flip that dial.
Families who choose cremation may worry about security. Are the ashes in the urn, in fact, their loved ones? Bartolomeo and Prado Funeral Home is Monroe County's exclusive provider of cremation with confidence. Their 10-step cremation process guarantees that the cremated remains returned to you are those of your loved one. To learn more about cremation with confidence, call Bartolomeo and Prado Funeral Home, 720-6000.
If you're looking to market and grow your business, make new business connections, and give back to the community in a meaningful way, consider joining the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce. We're the largest suburban chamber in Monroe County, and we offer networking, education, marketing, insurance, and advocacy. You do not need to live or work in Greece to join. Our members come from throughout the region. In short, we're better together, and together, we're moving business forward. Visit greecechamber.org or call 585-227-7272 to join today.
Depositing your money with Genesee Regional Bank helps strengthen the local community. That's because GRB lends its deposits so the community can grow and prosper. Genesee Regional Bank. Community banking, community building. Visit grbbank.com. Member FDIC.
Tune in anywhere. Live streaming to PCs and mobile devices at WYSL1040.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, sponsored by Bartolomeo and Prado Funeral Home, right here on WYSL. I'm delighted to join my next guest, who's coming to us from Fidelis Care, Megan Woodward of Fidelis Care. Welcome, Megan.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Megan, you are Vice President of Retention for Fidelis Care, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so tell us, what does that mean? What is your role there? And then we'll talk a little bit about Fidelis Care for anybody who perhaps doesn't know what Fidelis Care is.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first, as Vice President of Retention, my job involves overseeing a statewide workforce of people that speak up to 29 different languages and represent communities all across New York State. And my team's job is to help people keep their health insurance, including, navigating through all the complexity of the renewal process, helping people over the phone with completing all the required parts of the application and providing the necessary documentation, and to help people figure out when their eligibility has changed, what that means for them as they move between different products that we offer.
Wow. I mean, that sounds like the business. That sounds like the core business of Fidelis Care. It's a pretty all-encompassing responsibility that you have. I imagine there are quite a lot of people working with you on this.
Yeah, we have a retention workforce of more than 200 people, and we staff the phones and really support our 2 million members, or more than 2 million members across the state. And we actually have partners as well in our marketing team that's in the field. They're boots on the ground, folks who are in the community and at different provider locations and doctors' offices all across the state.
That's great. So we've sort of backed into it. So even if for some reason somebody tuning in didn't know what Fidelis Care was, hopefully they figured out that Fidelis Care is an insurance company and very specifically provides health insurance, correct?
Correct. Yep. Fidelis Care is the largest Medicaid managed care organization in New York State.
Wow.
And we also provide other health insurance products, including Child Health Plus, the Essential Plan, managed long-term care, and even some specialty products such as HARP, as well as the Medicare offerings.
Wow. So that also is a lot of ground, and it sounds like you are especially focused on people who perhaps need additional assistance or subsidy in order to be able to access insurance. Maybe not exclusively, but that's an area in which you focus. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah, that's correct. That's our core business, really, is to help people who have subsidy eligibility for various government-sponsored health insurance, and really to support people along the continuum of care as their income changes, as their household changes, and as their needs change as they age.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, because you covered quite a bit of ground just describing your role, folks applying for health insurance, especially if they're looking for any kind of assistance or subsidy, and probably in all cases, if they're applying through the state of New York's website, for example, are needing to provide income information to come up with an income determination to see whether they qualify for any kind of subsidy, correct? So that's it's probably a big part of what you see and what you're working with. It isn't just the health insurance application, but also the income determination, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's spot on. The process that managed care plans like Fidelis partner with the New York State of Health on is really helping people navigate and assist them through moving through the application, which does involve gathering information about who is in your household, your various income, and what that means in terms of your qualifications for different programs, including some that are zero cost, such as Medicaid, to those that have varying levels of subsidy or cost sharing involved, including the qualified health plans on the marketplace.
Which is really important for our listeners to know, which is that there could be health insurance out there that's cheaper for you if indeed you meet the income limit requirements. And giving somebody like you or your office a call might help them figure out if maybe there's a way for them to be paying less for what is a pretty sizable expense these days in the average American family's budget.
Yeah, absolutely. And the main challenge at hand right now is there's a return of the renewal requirement where people who gained coverage, especially during the pandemic in these programs, haven't needed to do anything to continue to keep that coverage in the last 3 years. And that's really changed significantly with the end of the federal public health emergency. So if there's folks out there worried about, oh, no, I don't know if I'm going to qualify for this in a continued way, to know that there's a whole range of additional coverage options that could still be very affordable for you is a really important piece. And our team at Fidelis Care, we're here to help really navigate people to find the coverage that's right for them, really with the shared goal for our healthcare providers and us to keep every eligible New Yorker covered and making sure they have access to high-quality health care.
That's great. And how do people reach you? Is there, I'm sure you have a website, but are there a couple of key things that you can throw out on air, key ways of reaching you?
Yeah, absolutely. So folks can get to us in a couple of different ways if they need help to either learn more information about what's going on. And the first option is to check out our website at fideliscare.org/renew. That contains all sorts of information about the renewal changes underway. Folks can also reach us directly, our dedicated member retention team, at 1-866-435-9521, TTY 711, and that's Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. until 6 p.m. And then lastly, you can come visit us in person. We have a team of statewide folks, including 24 community offices and street-side vehicles, RVs, that act as mobile offices. And information about where to find those locations is available also on our website at fideliscare.org/offices.
That's great. So there was a time period during COVID when people who were already deemed eligible for some sort of subsidy for their health insurance through the New York State of Health, where they didn't have to reapply, get redeterminations. They were sort of, kept on insurance without additional documentation, correct, for a period?
Correct. Yeah, for quite a long time, starting all the way in March of 2020 through just this past spring.
So this spring, suddenly we're back to needing to submit information and documentation. Some people may not even be aware that we kind of went back into the previous mode, right? So some of what we're hoping to do with this show is make sure people realize that they may need to, resubmit information, redocument in order to keep whatever level of assistance they had, and you guys can help with that. You can also help somebody who's brand new who might want to see whether they qualify, correct? It's not just about retention.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, correct. It's also about helping get people access to health care if they don't have it. If they are uninsured today or have changes happening with their health insurance, we're able to assist with getting new people signed up for our services as well. And I think the most important thing folks need to be aware of is these renewal notices will be sent from both the state, from Fidelis Care, and there will be a lot of other accompanying messaging to people to let them know, hey, now is your time to take action, because it's not everybody all at once. It's gradually over the next year. And the most important thing people need to know is to respond to that request for information. And if they fail to miss that deadline, folks do risk losing their health insurance. And if you did miss the deadline, it's not too late. You can always sign up again and get on with the additional late renewal grace period that's being provided.
So don't ignore those notices. And don't worry, even if you think you might have missed a deadline, the thing that you need to do is to pick up the phone and either contact the state directly or contact Fidelis Care or another provider that's linked to the New York State of Health. If
Exactly.
if you're thinking that maybe you have an issue with your insurance needing to be renewed. Let's talk just a little bit about open enrollment because I think there's some confusion out there. There's certainly a sort of the traditional open enrollment period, which is kind of October up and leading up until January for a January 1 start, which certainly a lot of the insurance industry revolves around, right? That particular time period. But I'm not even sure. Does it apply to you guys? Does it apply to the New York State of Health? Is there a rolling open enrollment for some programs?
Very, very thoughtful question. I appreciate that. So for the core state-sponsored insurance programs like Medicaid, Child Health Plus, the Essential Plan, Managed Long-Term Care, HARP, those are have rolling open-door eligibility sign-up processes, meaning there is no set window in the year in which someone has to take action. And essentially, if your circumstances with income or your household makeup changes at any point, you can provide that information to a sister on the Fidelis Care side or to the New York State of Health and get signed up for those programs without waiting for a specific sign-up period. Mm-hmm. There are open enrollment timeframes for Medicare offerings, of course, and then for the qualified health plans, those metal-level products that I think folks are familiar with on the state website. And there's actually even increased flexibility with those qualified health plans now, whereas if you're on, say, if you're on the Essential Plan and your income has changed and you're now eligible for one of those marketplace offerings, you don't have to wait for that marketplace open enrollment in order to begin coverage in the context of moving from another offering. So there's a lot of additional flexibility that's really meant to ensure people can access the health insurance they need now without being bogged down with administrative burdens and kind of hoops to jump through.
That's great. I think great to know, great for people listening to know. And another area that I wanted to talk about is what the income limits themselves are, because there's not just one program that provides some reduced cost insurance, and there are a range of income limits, right? And weren't they recently within the last couple of years, weren't they expanded, those income limits?
Yeah, so I can speak to generally. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. And generally, right, the state updates income limits depending on federal poverty level thresholds that are governed and directed by the federal government as well. But the best recommendations, that we tell people broadly is, being able to clearly report what you earn. A lot of it is even automated now through IRS tax filings and things like that, will be your best bet of understanding what you qualify for. And if your income changes, to your earlier point at the start of the interview, if you've been, laid off or if you've had changes in your income, being able to report those changes can help ensure you're in the best fitting product to meet your needs.
That's terrific. So it sounds like you guys are able to help anybody who might be looking for insurance, especially through the New York State of Health, especially looking for a subsidy, maybe Child Health Plus again, which in addition, which is a very important program for anybody with kids in the state of New York. And you don't charge anything for your services, correct? For your navigation services?
Correct. And honestly, no New Yorker should ever be charged for assistance with renewing or navigating through their health insurance application. We had a pretty robust announcement and memo come out from our New York State of Health partners alerting people to be aware that these assistance services are provided to the public at large for free. Mm-hmm. And should anybody encounter anything other than that, it's a possible scam that should be reported to the state.
That's great. That's exactly what I think our listeners need to hear and to know, along with the great resources and information and assistance available from you, Megan, and your team at Fidelis Care. One more time, how do people reach you?
Yeah, so folks can reach us in a variety of ways, going to our website at fideliscare.org/renew. getting in touch with our member retention team at 1-866-435-9521, TTY 711, and that's Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 6. And folks can also stop by and visit us in person at any of our community offices or find one of our RVs and mobile street fleet team traveling the state.
Wonderful. Megan Woodward, Fidelis Care Vice President of Retention, thank you so much for joining us here today on Business Voice.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. All right, don't go away. We're going to be right back. We've got lots more to come. Don't flip that dial.
Need help with health insurance? The Greece Regional Chamber provides assistance with health insurance for businesses, nonprofits, families, and individuals throughout our region. We pride ourselves on the personalized service that we provide for our clients. Let us help you find health insurance plans that fit your needs and navigate the paperwork. Greece Chamber Benefit Partners, located at 2402 Westridge Road in Rochester, New York, offers a broad range of medical insurance plans for businesses, nonprofits, individuals, and families throughout the greater Rochester Finger Lakes region, working with insurance companies including Excelis Blue Cross Blue Shield, Univera, and MVP Healthcare. We can also help you access insurance plans through the New York State of Health, the official health plan marketplace. Again, you do not need to live or work in Greece to utilize our brokerage services. We serve the greater Rochester Finger Lakes region of New York State. Visit greecechamber.org to sign up for one of our free health insurance information sessions or schedule an appointment with one of our licensed brokers. Call 585-227-7272. 585-227-7272.
My career as a journalist spans nearly 2 decades, much of that here at 13 WHAM News. We begin with law enforcement encountering... The news we share can be difficult, but it's important to keep you informed and ready for what's ahead. I promise we'll also highlight all the good in our community and celebrate what brings us together. That's my commitment to you every night on 13 WHAM News.
Matt Malloy, weeknights on 13 WHAM News at 5, 10, and 11.
Safeguarding your freedoms and your future. The WYSL stations.
Welcome back. You're listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, sponsored by Bartolomeo and Parado Funeral Home. I'm Sarah Lentini, your host, and I'm delighted to welcome our next guest, Shane Thomas, Field Marketing Coordinator for Greenlight Networks. Welcome, Shane.
Hi, thanks for having me, Sarah.
Absolutely. So Greenlight Networks, I imagine most people have heard of Greenlight Networks, and many have signed up for Greenlight Networks because you're kind of the hot new company in town providing internet connections. But tell us a little bit about Greenlight and how long you've been around and how you came to be. And I know you're growing, too, so you have to mention that.
Yeah, that's right. I appreciate that. So for any listeners that don't know, we started in 2011. And we are a fiber optic internet company that is building right from scratch here in Rochester, New York. We've expanded our network quite a bit. And, we're excited to share some more updates with you guys. That's great.
So Rochester born and bred. And how far is the how far spread is the network so far? I know there are people downstate asking about it. So I'm figuring you might be beyond Monroe County at this point.
Absolutely. So we do have quite a few districts, Buffalo, Binghamton, and a newer district opening up in Albany. But right here in Rochester, we've expanded quite a bit. We're continuing to expand our network in Greece. We've got about 30 districts currently in the Greece area, covering about 17,000 homes or so. With continued construction this year, we're hoping to open up at least 3 or 4 more districts. Which will include about 3,500 or so additional homes in the Greece area. We expand all across the Rochester. We stop right around the Wayne County line for now, but who knows where construction could go next.
Yeah. So is the plan to go as far as downstate New York or even further, or do you know? Or?
Potentially, our Where Are We Going team is always looking for new opportunity, and they're continuing to expand rapidly. But we are still focused on those areas in Rochester to, really maximize our local potential here, which is why I just wanted to highlight a few of those districts for the Greece area.
Got it. And you came to the market with a sort of a value proposition. It's part of why you've probably taken off as fast as you have, correct? I mean, people are looking at speed and, quality and cost when they're looking at this sort of a product, right?
Absolutely. Internet has become not just a commodity, more of a necessity, and we hope to bring it to customers all across Western New York and hopefully a little bit downstate. But, we offer plans starting at $50 a month for 500 megabytes of service, which is plenty fast. And the biggest difference with us is that there's synchronous speeds. For anyone that doesn't know what that means, typically you'll see download speeds and all different numbers. But with us, you get that same number, but also upload. So any number that you see, whether it's 500 megabytes, 1 gig, all the way up to our 5 gig service, you're getting synchronous speeds, both upload and download.
And is that better than the other folks in the market or most of the others, or how does that compare?
Absolutely. So with fiber optics, you're getting a more consistent signal and a more consistent browser experience, internet experience. And so when it comes to upload and download speeds, that can really affect everything from a Zoom call and working from home to video games or streaming content. The faster, the more consistent network you have, the better your experience is going to be. And
so, it's finally sunk into my non-tech brain that you're saying fiber optics. Mm-hmm. So you guys have fiber optic cable. That's what you're saying.
So we actually get our fiber. Sorry, go ahead.
No, and that's not true of it's not all internet providers are on fiber optic cable. Is that what you were really trying to say?
Correct. Not everyone, but, fiber is new to the market, and, quite a bit of companies are innovating, and we're just hoping to stay ahead of the game here at Greenlight with all the expansion and the continued network maintenance that we do.
Terrific. And, one of the other things that strikes me about your company is that a lot of companies that offer internet service also offer lots of other products and services, but that's not so true of you guys, right? You're a little bit more focused, perhaps?
Correct. And, the main reason for that is consistencies. We offer all of our plans that you see on our website, greenlightnetworks.com. You're going to see those plans consistent throughout your engagement with us. We don't have any surprise increases, no taxes or added fees, or anything along those lines.
Right. So,
and then we're able to maintain that with offering just internet service.
Yep.
So when it comes to those other streaming services or other cable packages or telephone or email services, we just don't offer those in order to maintain those consistent speeds and really focus on what we do well, which is fiber internet.
Right. That's sort of where I was going. This is your core business. Mm-hmm. This isn't an adjunct business. It is the heart and the core of your business. It's what you guys started, and it's what you guys do. And certainly if somebody's looking for a phone, you're not the place to come for a phone, right?
No, not at all.
No, unfortunately. No. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's, sometimes everybody is trying to do everything, so it's kind of nice to see a focus. I think that's great. And you came into the market, as I said, I think with a good value proposition that people have been very excited about. So congratulations to you, and you're growing. And so you
Absolutely.
said you're welcome. So you said that you started in what year?
So Greenlight Networks has been around since 2011.
That's what I thought you said.
I've been
okay.
Yep.
Yeah. But you have not been there since 2011, have you, Shane? Or
No. I started in February here, and I love it so far. Greenlight's really been a great culture and, expanding rapidly in Rochester. It's a great brand.
That's wonderful. And I know you guys are very involved in the community as well. And, we appreciate your membership in the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce. I know you've been For a couple of years now, you've been involved with our Health and Home Expo, and people have been very excited about your exhibit table there. And we just want to say thank you for your community focus. And of course, I appreciate that you are Rochester-born, a Rochester-born and bred company that started here and is growing in leaps and bounds. That's an exciting thing to hear. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah. So as you guys move forward, we wish you much luck, and we also hope that we can have you back to talk a little bit about what else is coming up as you expand, because I know you guys are working really hard. You came into my neighborhood, not that long ago, and I know you were working great guns, and and folks were excited about seeing you there. So. Congratulations, and do come back and visit us on Business Voice. And thank you again so much for being here, Shane Thomas, Greenlight Networks. We really appreciate your stopping by.
Appreciate that, Sarah. Thank you so much. I hope I'm welcome back the next time.
Yeah, of course. You're very welcome. All right, don't go away. We're going to be right back with my next guest. Don't flip that dial.
Do you ever question how much value you get for the money you spend? Funerals can be expensive, and you should feel confident getting what you paid for. Bartolomeo and Prado Funeral Home promises to deliver. From expert guidance to a warm, inviting facility to handling all the details during a difficult time. Their priority is to create a meaningful tribute for your loved one and for you to feel that you spent wisely. When you're in need, call Bartolomeo and Prado Funeral Home, 720-6000.
If you're looking for an opportunity to play a vital role in the fast-growing field of healthcare, then consider earning a degree in medical reimbursement and coding from Bryant and Stratton College. With curriculum built around the same standards and software used in the industry, you'll graduate with the skills and confidence needed to sit for key certification exams required by employers. And this program is now offered in a new blended learning format, combining the best of instructor-led face-to-face classroom instruction with virtual learning, giving you the flexibility to earn your degree in a way that best suits your schedule and life. Plus, thanks to Career Life Prep, you'll have a team to help chart your path, learn the soft skills employers are looking for, gain valuable professional connections, and enjoy career services support for life. So learn more about a career in medical reimbursement and coding today at bryantstratton.edu. Bryant and Stratton College, for every and in life. For important information and disclosures, please visit bryantstratton.edu/disclosures. Bryant and Stratton College complies with applicable state authorization regulations for distance education in all other states.
Welcome back. You're listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, sponsored by Bartolomeo and Prado Funeral Homes. I'm Sarah Lentini, your host, right here on WYSL, and I'm delighted to welcome my next guest, Matt Lees, design specialist, Frank's Basement Systems. Welcome, Matt.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. So tell us about Frank's Basement Systems. Where are you guys based? And you've been, growing, and you're relatively new to the Rochester market, right?
We are. We're a 40-year-old established company out of Buffalo.
Awesome.
That is just moving into Rochester. We just purchased a building on Lexington Ave.
Nice.
We're in the process of getting that all set up and everything, but we've been doing business here for just a little over a year now, moving in, establishing ourselves while we're getting the building and everything ready.
That's great. And welcome to the neighborhood, and welcome to the Greece Regional Chamber. Thank you for your membership. And how long have you been there, Matt? Did you come from Buffalo with the company?
No, I'm actually, I live in Webster, but I grew up in Greece, went to Greece schools, and that's where I did most of my childhood was in Greece.
That's great. So you're from the Rochester community, Rochester born and bred. Awesome. That's great.
I am.
So tell us about Frank's Basement Systems. What kind of systems are we talking about? I guess I could guess at it, but I'd rather you describe it.
So we pretty much will handle any kind of basement needs that you have, from just, refinishing walls to, our solutions for that, to complete waterproofing, to actual full-out remodels and with finished walls and flooring and everything.
Wow. And so you really, if I wanted to take a basement and refinish it and so that I had a whole bunch of additional living space, you would do that?
We can, yeah. We can make anything happen.
That's great.
Our slogan is all things basementy.
All things basementy. It's funny you say that because Bob D'Angelo, he was sitting across from me in the studio, said that to me just before we came on air. All things basementy. So your, the slogan and your advertising are working, which is awesome. So I'm going to just poke at this a little more. All things basementy. Does that mean, HVAC systems?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Does it mean like the heating and air conditioning systems? Does it mean the sump pump? Does it mean those kinds of systems or?
So what we specialize really in is the waterproofing end of it, which includes the sump pump installation and drain tile and dehumidification. Those are our big three.
So got it. So if there's water in the basement, that's definitely one of those basementy things that we call you about. Yes.
Correct. And if we come out, we can look at all kinds of solutions, and we're very confident in our work and our pricing and everything like that. We have a price match guarantee if we're doing anything comparable to anybody else that you've had out and look. We can look at their quote and we can beat their price. And we offer a lifetime warranty, which I use air quotes on lifetime because people will say lifetime, but New York State caps lifetime at 25 years.
Really? That's interesting.
They do. That's just the way we are. We're honest about it. We're going to tell you it's in the verbiage. It's lifetime, but it's a 25-year because of New York State. And that is actually transferable to the next homeowner. So if you're looking to purchase or sell your home, you can sell it with confidence, and then the buyer can buy with assurance as well.
Oh, that's great news. And I realize that it's great that you do price matching. So awesome. But some of the projects in the basement could be fairly pricey. Do you offer any kind of financing?
We do. We absolutely offer financing. That's a great question. We can do all kinds of solutions. We're here for the customer. That's our goal is to, when basements are not a fun thing to have to fix, right? So when someone when they have the threshold of pain of their basement enough to call someone like us, we want to make sure we can just take care of it for them and do exactly what they need and make it as affordable as possible and solve their solutions.
That's great. And when you say that you serve Buffalo and Rochester, I mean, there's probably quite a region around both of those that you serve, right?
Oh, correct. Yeah, I mean, I'll go pretty much anywhere in Monroe County. We go out to Buffalo. We'll hit Batavia, all along the lake and everything like that. Pretty much anywhere we can get to within, a couple hours. That way, the crews still have time to get there and do their work and put in a good full day's worth of work.
And that's great.
Go ahead.
And how do people reach you and make an appointment? And do you have a web calendaring system, or what are the ways to get connected to you?
Yeah, so you can find us on franksbasements.com, or my personal cell, which is the easiest way to get a hold of me. I'm one of the main guys here in Rochester. It's 585-405-3081. We can get you scheduled. I look at my calendar and get you scheduled and get you someone out there to take a look.
You can't ask for better than that, folks. So, Matt, that's your personal. I mean, that's your direct, I should say, cell phone number, right? That's Matt Lees. We're talking to Matt right now. 405. You said 3081.
It is correct.
Yeah. Yep. So that's awesome. So people can just call you directly because some of us just want the easiest, most direct, most human way to reach somebody and just, find out what we need to find out and get it done. So I love that. Matt Lees, 405-3081. And, of course, this is Frank's Basement Systems for anybody who's just joining us. So all things basementy, what do people come to you for the most? Is it to get the basement redone? So, or maybe to do a man cave, or what are the things that you see a lot of?
So, really, the water on the floor, seeping from the walls. That's the big thing, right? Because anytime you have that and you want to finish your basement, this really has to be the first step, because you don't want to go through and put up drywall and wood studs and everything like that and just have it rot out, and just it causes a lot more problems. So you got to start with the good bones, right? And that's where we come in, and we set you up for success.
That's great. And talk to us a little bit more about your role, because your title's a little intriguing to me. It's design specialist, right?
It is. So that's what I help do, is I help design the solutions for you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fancy for sales, right? But
sounds like more than sales,
design.
Actually. Yeah. If you're designing the solution, you also have to do more than just, you have to do a little bit of, planning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not just come in and do the work and tell you what you need. I like to sit down and really talk about all the options and talk about what the customer actually wants to accomplish and work off of that, not just what we think is best. We can look at all of the ways, and like I said, if you've had other people in before, we can look at that and tell you what we agree with or disagree with, and do what's best for the customer.
That's great. So I'm hearing a lot about customer focus, what's best for the customer. Can't not love that. I adore that. And it sounds as though you're also, you're willing to come to people's homes or people's businesses, right? And do you do both residential and commercial? We do. That's a great question. Yeah. No, and it's what it's about. I am a consumer as well, right? I know the process, and I know how I want to be treated when it's me. So that's the way I like to go out and just help customers out. Like I treat every house like it was mine. That's wonderful. That's awesome. And this level of attention, personal attention, and home visits is actually, I think, getting to be kind of rare. So kudos to you guys. Matt Lees, design specialist, Frank's Basement Systems. And I'm going to give your cell phone one more time, Matt. 405-3081. This is a 585 area code, folks. 405-3081. Matt Lees, thank you so much for being with us here today on Business Voice.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You're very, very welcome. That just about does it for us here today on Business Voice. Business Voice, in case you're just joining us, is a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce. It is sponsored by our presenting sponsor, Bartolomeo and Parado Funeral Homes. We're very grateful to them. And I want to say thank you to all of my guests today, starting with New York State Senator Jeremy Cooney, Megan Woodward of Fidelis Care, Shane Thomas of Greenlight Networks, and Frank's Basement Systems, Matt Lees representing Frank's Basement Systems. I hope that you check everything out on the web, not just these wonderful Greece Chamber members, but many others. You can visit us at greecechamber.org. We also have lots of events, lots of other opportunities, including things like health insurance, and a wonderful new community directory and business guide that's just come out and has a digital presence right on the website as well. And until next time, be well.
You've been listening to Business Voice. The Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce serves businesses, nonprofits, and individuals throughout the region, focusing on promoting economic and community development and serving as the voice for business. The Chamber offers networking, education, advocacy, community events, and business services. It serves as an important platform for business leaders and citizens to come together in support of common goals.